Hello, everyone, and welcome to this next installment in the newly admitted video tutorial series. In this video, I will be showing everyone the SDSU Flex main page and just describing some important conceptual parts of this year's repopulation and instruction plan for the fall 2020 semester. So let's get right into it. This is going to be a lengthy video, so I encourage, if you don't want to watch the entire thing, just go to the SDSU Flex page yourself and do some self-guided research. I do encourage students to go to this page themselves just to look up and get more information on what's going on campus. So let's go to the page, sdsu.edu/flex. You should be brought to this home page here. So SDSU Flex is the formal name for the Flexible Repopulation, Instruction, and Business Continuity Plan for fall 2020. So I will not be going too in-depth on all of these things. I do, again, encourage students to practice self-accountability and just go through this page so you are directly informed on what's going on this year for this semester. So campus repopulation plan, there will be a plan listed here as well as some frequently asked questions about how the campus will be respecting physical distancing and stay-at-home orders, as well as how the university will gradually repopulate campus in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. Instructional faculty training. It is very comforting to know that faculty are being offered training to basically ensure that we are being offered the best possible online education. And so this basically just ensures that faculty have this quality experience and are as informed as possible on online course offerings. Class instruction support. It's going to be a very important tab. I am going to go through this one since this is a frequently asked question by most newly admitted students because it's very confusing as to what's going on. So SDSU is holding a hybrid, if you may, format for classes. So meaning that some classes, the majority of them to be exact, will be held online only, but there are some classes, more than 200 specifically, that will be offered in person or partially in person. So we're going to go and browse through this list. So you're brought to a page that is the Office of the Registrar, who handles student records as well as enrollment and registration on campus. So here's the full list of partially or fully in-person online classes. You can search by college. So say you're, I don't know, a kinesiology major, but you're taking a class for the College of Sciences, say Bio 203. So Bio 203 lab is a wet lab, so it will be held online. I'm going to say now that most wet labs, as well as clinical training and art studios underneath professional studies and fine arts, will be held in person since it is hard to duplicate that hands-on kind of instruction in a virtual format. So if you're taking a wet lab or taking like a computer lab or a wet lab, then expect your class to most likely be online. Again, the situation is constantly changing regarding the pandemic and how the university is handling affairs. So please keep an eye on your email as well as your SDSU web portal. There's a disclaimer here that you're responsible for initiating action for your own schedule adjustments and setting your schedule by the deadline. So if there are any updates to your classes, rooms might be adjusted, things happen all the time, faculty members might change, just make sure that you're staying up to date, checking your email constantly, and always keeping an eye on your web portal. So I do encourage students to browse through this list to see if their classes will be offered in person. So going back to research and creative activities, if you're a grad student newly admitted or an undergrad student interested in research during your time at SDSU, I encourage you to go through this page and find out how SDSU will be handling research this semester, both online and in person. Student life and support. This is also very important to know that student counseling, advising, and tutoring will be offered virtually as well as in person. So there are going to be some offices, I believe the Cal Poly Health Center and counseling will be available for students to walk in person. This is all part of the repopulation plan, and it is all subject to change based on how the situation with the pandemic changes as well. So I hate being the person to say, I don't know, but I don't know whether or not certain offices are going to be open, and I cannot give students a straight up answer on which student resources will be available to you in person on campus. But I do recommend looking through this plan to see how the university is handling student life and support. Student resident housing, we are going to go into this one since this is a frequently asked question as well for newly admitted students. The housing and residential education page is a one-stop shop for everything you need to know about housing. So these tabs up here, you can browse through campus living, freshman housing, sophomore housing, upper division housing options, service and amenities, the about page or the mission and vision is, frequently asked questions, hall tours, important dates, and your one-stop guide for SDSU Move in 2020. So there's also a link to COVID-19 information, what the REO is doing to mitigate exposure to COVID-19. This is very important. As well as meal plan balance here, how to get a meal plan. There's information on here if you would like to know. So fall 2020 housing plan, again, move in, campus living, and parent and family resources for those parents out there who may be watching. So yes, I do encourage students who are interested in housing to, or maybe on the wait list, to check here for updates, as well as check your email. Continue to check that as well. So going back to student meal plans is kind of hand in hand with student resident housing, but how to obtain a meal plan if you are a student that has chosen to take an in-person class, and you do think that you'll need a meal plan while you're staying on campus, or for those students who are in residential housing. I believe it's basically included if you're in housing. So tuition and mandatory fees, California State University decided on not discounting fees for this semester, and mandatory fees on campus are not subject to refund except in very limited circumstances. So if you do think that you may qualify for a refund, by all means, click on this page, find out how to inquire for a refund, find out to see what can be done, what steps and what measures can be taken to do that. International experiences, we are going to go through this page because this also is a very frequently asked question. So as of now, all study abroad programs have been suspended because there are travel restrictions across the globe. So virtual study abroad is an option now, and there are alternates being offered for those students who were looking to travel abroad this semester. If you're still interested, or if you were set to do so, I do recommend going through virtual global programs to see which programs are now being offered as a virtual international experience, as well as check the Aztecs Abroad database to see if some programs may have been added because travel restrictions have been eased up. As for events held on campus, the International Peace Village, coffee hours, those have been suspended as well, and they will probably be offered in virtual format because of the honor to social distancing restrictions. So if you're interested in international affairs, I do recommend going through this page, maybe checking out all these tabs to see how the university will be handling international experiences from now on. So SDSU World Campus is basically just introducing a new online degree program in 2020 and 2021. If you're interested in looking through that, I recommend clicking on this tab. Athletics and student athletes. If you are an athlete, you're probably getting correspondence from your team, from your coaches. So you're probably well informed about this. However, the general public really is not. So this will link you to the Go Aztec Sports page, and you can see updates, repopulation of student athletes this summer, and again, more details to come because the situation is constantly changing, and there may be more details as we move further toward this semester. So ceremonies and events, again, large activities such as orientation are being held virtually. It is already confirmed that new student and parent orientation, transfer student orientation, and newly admitted student orientation will all be held online. So if you haven't done so, I recommend signing up for that as soon as possible, since you have to attend mandatory orientation in order to sign up for your classes. Also, the International Student Center has yet to announce their orientation date and time if that applies to you and you are an international student who's interested in that information. So again, I recommend reaching out to whatever department you may have questions for. There will be contact information listed here. You can always find departments, academic help, ECRT, health services, meal plans, anything that you need to know for health and safety pertaining to student affairs will be listed here. So that is all for the SDSU Flex program, or that at least is all what I'm going to go over today. But I do, yet again, I'm going to repeat myself. This is very important that if you want to know further information, you either contact a faculty or staff member or an admin member, or you ask the department directly, or you go through this page to try to soak in as much information as possible and read up yourself and take responsibility for knowing what's going on campus for the 2020 semester. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.